Hello everybody and welcome to my YouTube channel and thanks for watching this video today. So I am going to be talking about traveling during the coronavirus pandemic, which is pretty interesting. So me and one of my best friends, Alex, we decided to go on a trip to Europe, and basically we planned this mini holiday because I was meant to start working over in Europe at the start of April. I got offered a different position, so my job position didn't start until end of May now. So we decided to just still go on this little holiday anyways, because we'd spent all of our money on accommodation and flights, and then we were going to come home, and then I was just going to go again later. But we left on Friday the 13th of March, funnily enough, and by this point Italy had been in lockdown, and China was in lockdown as well. And you know, we'd been kind of doing our research up until the day, and no other countries had kind of gone into lockdown. There had been no other talk of countries going into lockdown yet, so we thought, all right, we'll just go over and see how we go with it. So basically we went over on Friday the 13th, and while we were on the plane, we got off and quite a few things had happened actually. So I know that there was talks into US, they were gonna close their borders. A whole bunch of countries around Europe were gonna close their borders, and this literally happened overnight. It was quite crazy, and you know, we've had so many people turn around and be like, oh, you knew this was gonna happen and all this stuff, and we're like, sorry, forgot that I was psychic for a second. Honestly, no one could have predicted to the extent of how crazy and full on this virus was gonna get, and how quickly it was gonna literally like come into our lives. It was crazy. But basically, you know, we flew to Amsterdam, and we got in there on Saturday, on the 14th, and we checked into our hostel room, and we were in a hostel room with two other girls, two other Canadian girls that were really lovely. And unfortunately for them, they'd come over for Tomorrowland Winter, which had been cancelled basically a couple days after they'd gotten there, which was meant to be in France. And then they still had the snowboarding option available for them, so they were kind of going back and forth, you know, should we go, should we not? Then a day later, I think literally within 24 hours, France had closed their borders, so they couldn't go. So these poor girls, you know, had spent the next couple of days trying to get back to Canada before they decided to close their borders as well. Yeah, so the first couple of nights were spent up quite late with these girls trying to get back to Canada. But fortunately enough, they did make it home, which is awesome. But in the meantime, we did get to spend some time with them, which was pretty cool. And, you know, we got to do all the things you do in Amsterdam. So that was fun. But on Sunday, we went out for the day with the girls, you know, just ate some nice mushrooms. They were a bit fun. And then, you know, come out of our trip about the afternoon, we're like, all right, time to go, you know, replenish our souls and our bodies with some food. So let's go get some food. So we go down to the hostel bar, literally 5:55 p.m. We sit down, the waiter comes over, sorry girls, we just got a text 5 minutes ago, and the whole country's going into lockdown in 5 minutes. So, you know, this was quite crazy, quite interesting, because nobody knew it was gonna happen. There was no pre-warning, no nothing, and everybody got a 10-minute warning. So here we are basically running down the street to get something to eat. I just wanted any kind of food I could get. I managed to get myself kebabs, so that's a good one. And there was just like lines everywhere for people to get weed, because like they were just trying to stock up while they could. So basically everything closed, nothing was open except for like little convenience stores, supermarkets. So we were meant to spend another 3 nights in Amsterdam, but we decided to leave a bit earlier because, well, there was nothing we could do, and you know, we were living off convenience store food, which is not that great after a while. Yeah, so it got to the Tuesday, and we managed to get a flight out of Amsterdam. We were meant to be heading to Dublin next, but unfortunately they went into lockdown as well, basically overnight. So everything was closed there too, all the bars, all the clubs, just like all your retail stores, everything's just done. So we thought there was kind of really no point in going there, and we just thought, all right, next best stop was the UK, because at that point in time Boris Johnson was pretty adamant on not going into lockdown. He didn't want to do it, so we're like, right, this is going to be our next shot. And after Dublin, we were meant to go to Edinburgh in Scotland. But so all of our accommodation lined up, we decided to spend the time that we were meant to be in Dublin in Glasgow, which was in Scotland as well. So after Glasgow we went, and we were meant to stay there from the Tuesday till the Saturday, check out on the Saturday, and yeah, it was pretty cool. Glasgow was pretty awesome. We got to go out for drinks a couple times, dinner, got to see the town. Scotland is so beautiful from everything I've seen. Like, the town is medieval looking, like all the buildings are so old, and they literally look like, you look at the tops of them and they got the pointy towers, and it's like, oh, you know, like in the movies it looks like someone would shoot a cannon off those towers, and you know, no doubt they probably did back in the day, which is really cool. And then basically Friday afternoon there was an announcement made by Boris that the UK was going to go into lockdown as well by the end of Friday night. So basically anyone and everyone was out on the streets, drinking, partying, going to the clubs, and of course we did too, to make the most of our time that we had left. Mind you, at this point we were still meant to stay another 1.5 weeks in the UK. Really, we were meant to go to Edinburgh, and then we were meant to go to Newcastle, and then we were also meant to go down to London. So you know, finding out this information, we were just thought, you know, we'll deal with this tomorrow and let's just get drunk while we can, basically make the most out of it, which is really what we tried to do the whole trip. We tried to remain positive and try to literally make the most out of everything that we could, because we knew it was probably going to be a short time before everything else started changing. Yeah, so got to the Saturday and we decided to, well, that's when our Edinburgh accommodation was up. So, you know, we'd already paid for that. They refused to give us a refund. So we thought we just may as well go there and use it up and then see how we go from there. So also while we were in Glasgow, majority of our time at night was spent trying to contact back home our travel agency so we could get a flight home. And you know, it was really tough with the time difference, and our travel agency alone said they were dealing with 60,000 inquiries, which is just unbelievable. So this is 60,000 Australians trying to get home, basically, and that's just one travel agency. So, you know, like, I praise the travel agent so much. You know, I had a travel agent replying to me at basically 11 p.m. back home. Like, it was quite amazing. They were working so hard, you know, and I couldn't appreciate that more. But it did, with the overwhelming amount of inquiries, it did make it very hard for us to try and lock something in. So there was multiple nights we were up at 1 a.m. waiting for replies, still hadn't received anything. We'd finally have a flight ready to go. It was only going to cost us an extra couple $100 to change, and then our travel agent would knock off for the night and not let us know, and then the next morning they'd come to work and be like, sorry, your flight's gone up by $2,000, which is actually what happened, which was quite crazy. And you can imagine how stressful that is for, you know, these two girls just trying to get home back to Australia and, you know, don't really have that amount of money to spend on a flight to get home. So it was kind of just going back and forth for days and days and days. You know, we weren't really getting much sleep, which was really struggling. And, you know, we're not really eating properly because, like, everyone's going into lockdown. We're living off convenience store food. So our mental health was just going quite downhill, but we still tried to remain as positive as we could, really. We did manage to watch basically all of Kath and Kim while we were locked up in our private hostel room, so that's a plus because you can't go wrong with some Kath and Kim, really. So yeah, and then yeah, we got to Edinburgh on the Saturday. We managed to, it was going to be cheaper for us to just get a brand new flight home, so a one-way flight. So for 1,200, we locked in a one-way flight. Basically, overnight, that airline company had closed. By this point, we'd already booked our train ticket to London to get on the plane at London, which the train ticket alone was like $120, and you know, we weren't not gonna get on this train, so we were like, stuff it, we're just gonna get on this train and go to the airport and just figure it out from there. But basically, our flight that had got booked overnight and got cancelled overnight. We then managed to get on another flight, which was going to be an extra $400. So this brought the one-way flight up to $1,600, and we're like, stuff it, we just got to get out of here, because it was probably only a short amount of time before, you know, we weren't going to be able to get home at all, or we were just going to really get stuck in the UK for a quite a big amount of time. And, you know, we would have spent more than $1,600 on accommodation and food for this time being stuck in the UK than just a flight home. So yeah, we got that flight, managed to get a couple of hours sleep. By the time we woke up in the morning to get on the train for London, that airline company had closed as well. You know, so we're meant to be getting on this flight today in 10 hours. You know, we're on the way to London and our flight's been cancelled. So it's been pretty crazy. And there was literally only basically one airline company left to get us home. And that flight was $4,000. And by this point, you know, we really were exhausted. We were mentally drained. You know, we were feeling sick because we hadn't really eaten any good food, and we just wanted to get home by this point. So luckily my friend's mum pulled out some stops and she was able to help us with a bit of the money. My family put in some money back home too, you know, because $4,000 for a one-way flight is quite ridiculous. And yeah, it basically really sucked. But this flight was on the Tuesday morning, so by this point it was Monday morning, and we were getting the train to London, which is about 4 hours from Edinburgh in Scotland. And we said, stuff it, you know, we're basically out of money. We're not going to spend money on a, you know, another hostel or a hotel room, and then have to, you know, stress about trying to get to the airport early in the morning, because and you know, by this point as well, like all the trains in London were closing down, the tubes, like all that kind of stuff. So we were afraid if, you know, we were staying somewhere to get like our way to the airport in the morning, we wouldn't have been able to get there. Like it was pretty full on. So we just thought, suffer, we'll just go straight to the airport and we're just going to stay there till our 9 a.m. flight. And we got to the airport about 4:30 p.m. And check-in for our flight was at 6 a.m. So we basically did an overnighter, you know, just trying to stay up, basically, you know, watching Netflix on our phone, trying to make some TikToks to just kind of keep ourselves awake, really. But yeah, it was a 17-hour wait in the hostel. And, you know, by this point, by the time we'd actually gotten on our flight, we had been awake for 32 hours straight, just because of being up the night before trying to rebook all these flights that had been cancelled. So, you know, we were just kind of out of it and ready to get home. And it was kind of a bit of a waiting game in the airport, because all the other airlines had just made such a quick decision to cancel their flights. We were afraid that that was going to happen to this flight as well. But luckily enough, our flight did not get cancelled. We made it all the way back to Australia, thank God. And now I'm basically in self-isolation for 2 weeks. So I'm not allowed to leave my house, not allowed to have any visitors. If I do get caught leaving my house, I get fined like 20k or something. But yeah, so I'm definitely, but after that 4k, I'm not even gonna, you know, like take my chances with that. But, you know, basically I came home feeling quite gross because of all the food I'd eaten. My face had like broken out from all this sugar that I'd been eating, and I don't really eat much bad foods often. If like you've watched my previous YouTube videos, you know that I eat pretty strict. I work out a lot, so to go from working out a lot, eating really strictly, to, you know, living off like, you know, sandwiches, packets of chips, like things you can get out of convenience store, really, like it was a bit of a shock to the system. So I was feeling quite gross and yuck, and it was nice to get home. And this is day 4 isolation for me, and I'm still trying to catch up on my sleep. I basically slept for 2 days straight, and I'm still trying to figure that out and get through that. Like last night I went to bed at like 12 a.m, woke up at 2:30, couldn't get back to sleep till 5:30. So it's just a bit of that at the moment, trying to get back into routine and stuff like that. So yeah, it's been a massive whirlwind, and, you know, I think at times like this it really shows, like, you know, you can get through it, and people out there are in the same position, you know, like we couldn't really sit there and feel sorry for ourselves, because there's so many other people in the same situation, or even in a worse situation, which It's quite horrible, but I'm glad we got home. And you know, I hope that if anybody's out there and they're trying to get home as well, I hope you do. Don't stop trying. But at the end of the day, just remain positive, because if you know you're getting really angry or upset, down about it, it's not going to do you any harm. It's just going to put your body in more stress, and you know that's definitely not what your body needs, especially with this virus out. If you do have a chance of getting it, you know, you need your body in full mode so they can fight it off. And you know, stress is a major impact on, you know, your immune system as well. So yeah, basically I'm gonna spend these next 2 weeks pretty much like reevaluating my life, setting some new goals, getting some things done that I, you know, have been wanting to get done for a while, finish some books I've been reading, just kind of like reset and cleanse. Like it's just like, and it's just a nice social cleanse as well at the end of the day. But yeah, it's just now figuring out what I'm going to do. So my job that was meant to go ahead at the end of May has now been postponed. They're saying June, July, or maybe next year. I don't know. So I'm kind of preparing for the worst. That's not going to happen till next year, because that was in Croatia, and they also had a massive earthquake recently. So there's a bit going on over there at the moment. But you know, I'm just looking at my options and thinking maybe I'll go and do some more studying, which could be really good too. So yeah, so just for everybody out there who is in self-iso, who is really struggling, please just keep a positive mindset, you know, focus on the things that are like really good, and you know, the things that you can get done, and set yourself some goals, look into the future, and just think of it as a cleanse. Really, that's what I'm doing. And spend some time baking. That's what I'm gonna do today. I'm gonna make some blueberry muffins. I'm excited. Awesome. But thank you for watching this video. I know it went for quite a while and I didn't really mean for it to go that long, but I suppose I had quite a bit of information. But I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, do not recommend traveling at this time. Very stressful, but yeah, awesome. Thanks guys. See you later.